Hello and welcome from Seattle. We're in Seattle today, and my name is Dr. Stephen Phillips, and I'm working my way towards Athens, Ohio. And I guess I'm about as far away from Athens as possible. I am in Washington, Washington State. Behind me is the Space Needle there. It's a restaurant. It turns at a very slow pace, and you can look out and see Mount Rainier. And I'm working my way east. I just came down from Calgary, Alberta. For those people that don't know, Alberta is a province in Canada. Had to be out of the country for a while. It looked like the unrest after the election. I thought I'd really stirred some things up, and I went to Canada ahead of the celebrities down there in Hollywood. I guess they haven't got their bus tickets yet, but anyway, I'm back and heading east. So I'll be arriving sometime soon after Mr. Trump becomes president. I'm probably going to be, I'm kind of lost for words here. It's just, as you can see, a very nice day in here in Seattle, and I think maybe about 62 degrees. I don't know what it is. But do you know, Mr. Producer, what the temperature is outside? Okay, it's nice though. You know, people say it rains all the time, but it's not raining today. So anyway, I look forward to getting back to Athens, Ohio. I hear, a lot of people are still crying in their lattes or whatever they drink down there, cappuccinos, or might even be crying in their soup. The election was just a big surprise. And Athens County was, and the city of Athens was one of those places that voted for Mrs. Bill Clinton. And but a university, School of Higher Learning, Ohio University, I think it's time that we try to get together and try to heal our differences and try to act like grown-ups. One guy said that Athens was 10 square miles surrounded by reality. So that's what we need to do. We need to get real. We need to get back to reality. I know Dane McCarthy's doing as much as he can to get things back in order over there in Athens, and I'm sure Mayor Steve Patterson is. But yeah, I look back on this election and doing these reviews, and I see that every candidate that the Democrats had put up, you had Ted Strickland, you had Lou Gentile, you had Sarah Grace, I'm just naming them off the top of my head because I remember seeing the yard signs over there on the east side, and on the east side, up on Briarwood and Columbia and in different places. And I noticed that I'm thinking of one yard in particular. Every candidate that they assigned, that they lost. So, anyway, but why the surprise? You supported a weak candidate. You had Democrats that could have won the White House, but you didn't choose to back those people. Martin O'Malley from Maryland, he'd have been able to beat Donald Trump, but you didn't choose. Some say that maybe the Democrats didn't want to win this time around. I don't know. But I don't know. I just sat here. You know, I was talking with Dr. Robert Whaley, who is a liberal Democrat, not a progressive. People say, what's a progressive? A progressive is a liberal that's gone awry. You know, there's things about liberals that are good because they're compassionate. They have concern for their fellow man, for the most part, and most of them are law-abiding people. But progressives, I think you saw some of that, some of the things that were going on around the country. But Athens, they evidently those people don't travel much from there. You know, I know the university people do, and then the students they travel out. But you just go to any county surrounding it, whether it be Vinton or Morgan or Meigs or wherever. You didn't see Clinton signs, and you saw a lot of Trump signs. And I know I recently made a trip to California. And, yeah, she got a lot of votes out there, but I didn't see a lot of signs out there, In the part of California I went to, she wouldn't be getting too many votes there anyway. But I don't know. Athens was not an indicator of what was going to happen that night. And for people to act as though it's just downright embarrassing. Crying over an election. You might cry over a relative or, a friend or business associate passing away or something like that, but you don't cry over elections. I think you need to grow up, and the sooner you do, the better. I know what some of you say. Oh, he's not a real psychologist. He just plays one on YouTube. Now, I've heard that before, too. But anyway, my suggestion is on the 20th, inauguration, you need to behave yourself, act civilized. What do you think would have happened in 2008 if Republican, conservative people would have marched in the streets and said Barack Obama's not my... They would be labeled racist. Racist, a term that is so loosely and widely used, it has no meaning. We're all a part of a thing called a human race. And if you can't... That kind of bothers me that people just... you're a xenophobe. A xenophobe. You know what the definition of a xenophobe is? That you're afraid of somebody from a certain country or that country. Well, I don't think that applies to too many people. Then there's others, homophobes. Most people that are not afraid of homosexuals, because most homosexuals don't present any threat. They're not afraid of them. That's what that would mean, that they would be afraid of them. A phobic, homophobic. Most people just don't like homosexuals, for that matter. That's probably what the problem is. But there's a whole list of things, and I don't really have too much written down here. But I'll tell you what, our friends to the north and to the south are laughing. They think, you're just like a bunch of first graders that lost their soccer tournament and couldn't handle it. Actually, I think first graders could handle it better than that. But anyway, I'm just kind of ranting and raving. Do you remember Big Jim Balcom? That's what he used to do. So, but people, I can get up here and joke. That's what I do. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker, you know, that's what I do. But, you know, the people in Seattle, you know, they're a little more mature, I think. You know, a lot of them are Canadians, come down, you know, live in that part of the country. A little more mature, but anyway, I don't want to knock Athens, Ohio too much because I have ties to that town and friends and relatives and so on and so forth. So let's talk about something a little more easy to talk about and say a little more comfortable for those people. You know, you can't even mention that election. How'd the election go for you? You know, you used to hear that, you know, and now you don't. But when the Republicans lost 2008 and 2012, they didn't take to the streets, or you didn't. I guess I'm being redundant, saying the same thing over and over, but perhaps it'll sink in if I say it more than once. Maybe you'll catch it. But anyway, I'm just glad to be in Seattle, and on a nice day, and I guess my next stop is Portland, Oregon, and I'm playing with a rock and roll band from Vancouver, British Columbia, and we're on tour. We're going to go from Portland to Sacramento, down to Los Angeles, San Diego, back over to Phoenix. From Phoenix, Salt Lake, I think. Yeah, Salt Lake, and then from Salt Lake to Cheyenne, Wyoming to Omaha, Nebraska, Omaha, Nebraska to Des Moines, Iowa to Chicago, and Chicago to Indianapolis, and we're going to be playing somewhere around the Athens area sometime soon, and so maybe a little bit of rock and roll will restore your mental health, huh? What else have I got to say here? There's a lot of those dead air. You're not supposed to do that when you're... But anyway, yeah, I got a haircut. Everybody said, "What happened to your long hair?" It's gone. It's gone. You know, I don't know. Is it any better? I don't. I know you haven't seen me for a while, but anyway, yeah. Matter of fact, we're going to be doing a commercial sometime soon here in Athens, Ohio. We got his car. It was a Turtle X Mustang GT. Going to be right there on ACTV Channel 9. We're going to do a feature on it, a 470 horsepower Mustang, and it's quite quick. And we're looking forward to doing that. And I guess I'm getting a signal that I'm running out of time, and I just wanted to touch base with you and let you know I'm that way, and I'm headed that way. I got to go south, and then I'll head east. And so to all my friends and family in California, I'll see you soon. Adios, amigos. Hello, and welcome back to Daytona, Florida. We're at the racetrack here, the 2.5 mile World Center of Racing here in Daytona. And the race is not till February 26th, but you'll have some speed weeks and the qualifying and everything prior to that. You'll have your Xfinity series, and but most people that watch car racing are probably interested in the 26th race, the February 26th race, the Sprint Cup. There's been some changes in NASCAR. There's always new rules and regulations and things like that, but there's been some teams that have changed their labels. Stuart Haas has gone from fielding Chevrolets to this year. They're driving Fords, the Ford Fusion, and I think Danica Patrick looks really good in the Ford Fusion. I'm a Ford man, by the way, so but I appreciate a good Chevrolet, but I just wouldn't drive one. Let's see, the cars, for people that are new to NASCAR, they field Ford Fusions, Toyota Camrys, and the Chevrolet, I guess maybe it's the Impala, is what they have at the SS Chevrolets. And you got 40 cars that'll start the race. And at a track like Daytona, now they'll run restrictor plates, but they'll still travel in excess of 200 miles an hour on the straightaways. To see 40 cars, once they make one revolution around there, lined up nose to tail, going over 200 miles an hour is quite a thrill. I remember a lot of years ago, I went to, I think it was 1989 was the first NASCAR race I went to, and in Brooklyn, Michigan, and it was a 2-mile track, and it was an exciting race. I still remember that first race. Bill Elliott in the number 9 Coors Light Ford Thunderbird won the race that day and put on quite a show. By the way, in '88, Bill was the NASCAR champion. Let's see here. His son, Chase Elliott, is now racing and looks very promising. And I don't know, Mr. Producer, did you show me in my car? You can't, I don't, yeah, there we are. This is from the 90s, and along with a couple other drivers, purchased this Ford Thunderbird. It was 750 horsepower, and had the pleasure of driving it. I wasn't the primary driver. Actually, I was probably like a third driver, and but I did manage to finish in the top 5 twice. I finished third in Texas and once in California, and it's quite a thrill to drive these cars. I know it's probably the biggest thrill I ever, other than flying sailplanes. This would be the next best thing. So back to NASCAR. NASCAR is a family-oriented sport. And each, if people that, let's say, that are fans of NASCAR, they all have their cars that they like and the cars that they don't like. They've got their favorite drivers, and they've got the drivers that they don't really care too much for. And one driver that I find truly amazing, I've been to, over the years, I've been to over 15 NASCAR events around the country, everywhere from Atlanta to Michigan to Texas. I was the inaugural race in Texas in 1997, I guess it was, there at Fort Worth. California Speedway, it's 2-mile track, just the same. It was built by Roger Penske, who owned the track in Michigan, and that was built out in farm country. This was built over in an industrial area called a place called Fontana, which is a suburb of Los Angeles. And I used to have an office less than a mile away from there, and I spent a lot of time going over there, and went to a driving school, and spent way too much money, but it was a lot of fun, and I really learned how to handle a 3,400-pound car. Again, I'll mention that these cars are running at speeds on these big tracks. This is a 2.5-mile track. Talladega is 2.6. That's the largest track. These cars are going in excess of 200 miles an hour, and they have to put restrictor plates on the big tracks so that the cars don't get airborne and people get hurt. So that's eliminated a lot of, injuries and everything, due to crashes and things of that nature. You have 3 series. You have the truck series, and you have then you have the Xfinity series, which is a lot of new drivers coming into that. It's one step down from the Sprint Cup series, who have the most the elite drivers and the more experienced drivers. The NASCAR started way back in 1948 on the Daytona Beach. There's a lot of history here because they raced on the beach here at Daytona. And a lot of those guys, I guess, might have been moonshine runners or something. They learned how to drive and they learned how to build cars that had a lot of power. And it was pretty exciting way back when it got started, And some of the top drivers in the sport, probably my favorite driver in the sport was David Pearson. And he drove a Ford. And then there was... I was a big Alan Kawicki fan. He won the championship in '92. Unfortunately, he was killed in a plane crash in '93. Those are 2 of my favorite drivers. Today's drivers, I like Kyle Busch. Oh, I should mention Bill Elliott's always been a favorite of mine. Bill Elliott and Mark Martin. But the new drivers that I like are Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs, number 18. I think he's probably going to have M&M Mars on the car this year. And then Roger Penske driver Joey Logano's exciting to watch. I don't think I've ever seen a more exciting driver to watch than you go to a place like Bristol and watch somebody like Kyle Busch work over the crowd. He's just a crowd of cars. He's just phenomenal. But anyway, then let's see. What else do I want to say about that? I know there's a lot of people that remember Dale Earnhardt, and there's only been 3 drivers: Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, and Jimmy Johnson to ever win 7 championships. Richard Petty has won over 200 car races. But it's a very exciting sport, and I recommend it to anybody out there. It's good family fun, And I can remember taking people to races. They had no idea. They watch them on TV, and they had no idea what 200 miles an hour was like to watch that. And then, cars running that close together, and the roar, these cars, some of them 800 horsepower cars. I remember when I first started watching, I think they were about 550 or something like that. But some cars, I believe they even got up as high as 900 horsepower. But if you haven't been to a race, I suggest you go. There's plenty of tracks within driving distance about anybody's area, because whether you're in Chicago or you're in Los Angeles, or there's just tracks all over. And of course, this is kind of a southern sport, and there's a lot of tracks like Charlotte, and then there's tracks in South Carolina, and there's Atlanta, and of course Talladega in Alabama. So you've got a good many places to go, and like I say, it's a lot of fun. I'm thinking it is about time that Joey Logano wins the. I think my microphone. Are you hearing me all right there, producer? Anyway, Oh, another thing that I don't know how I forgot to mention this. I really didn't rehearse anything here. I just was things that I've heard on the radio and such, and I haven't really read any reports. But the big news in NASCAR was that Carl Edwards, one of the top drivers in NASCAR, decided he was going to retire, and he left the Joe Gibbs car, number 19. And I think that Daniel Juarez, who won the Xfinity Series, he's from Mexico. He is going to take that position, is what I hear. And but Carl's going to be missed. Carl's just a young man. I think he'll probably be back. He was in the number 19 car. And I'm sure Joe Gibbs would like to have him back, or he'll be in some other form of racing or doing something different, perhaps a crew chief or whatever. But I guess that's about all the time we have right today. And boy, it's nice here in Florida. It's a good place to be right now. And hopefully you'll see me back here sometime in February prior to the Daytona 500. America's great race. I think they say that about Indianapolis, but I say it about the Daytona 500, the stock car race. So keep it in mind, read up on what's going on in NASCAR, and we'll be back with you sometime soon. Hello, welcome to Finding Peace in a Troubled World. This is Phillips 7.0. I am Stephen Phillips, and we're in our Sacramento, California Capitol Studios. And we're going to talk a little bit about living in peace. And I just say, let's live in peace. It can work. It just has never been tried. It works every time it's tried. But for instance, come on, Palestine. You might like it, if you tried a little piece of it. It's an acquired taste, something that you're foreign to. I would like to welcome Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu to the United States to talk with Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, a real advance in the State Department over former Secretaries John Kerry and Hillary Clinton and Madeleine Albright, and of course the former President Barack Hussein Obama, a uncooperative, uneducated in foreign affairs and diplomatic skills. He's simply a community organizer whose former hometown of Chicago is the least peaceful place in the United States, with a murder rate hitting all new highs. With Ron Emanuel as mayor of Chicago, it's no wonder. Hillary Rodham Clinton, or better known as Mrs. Bill Clinton, also claims Chicago is her hometown. Now, neither Clinton nor Obama want to return and live in Chicago. I wonder why. Maybe Mr. Obama is not as friendly as he was with his friend William Ayers, a domestic terrorist, as he once was, and perhaps Mrs. Bill Clinton does not want to leave her very close, extremely close friend, Huma Abedin Weiner, and Anthony Weiner. We all know about that former U.S. congressman who they call him Oscar Mayer, I think, up there in his neck of the woods. They don't want to live Chappaqua is where the Clintons live at. And I'm sure Bill doesn't want to leave his close friend Jeff Epstein, a Manhattan billionaire, not millionaire, but billionaire who has his own jet airliner, as they say, the little faggot has his own jet airplane. He also has the largest home in Manhattan. Can you imagine that? And, well, if you're a billionaire, I can see how you could do that. And he's also, I forgot to mention, a convicted sex offender. I think he spent like 14 months in prison. And Bill and Hillary, they like to fly with him down to St. Thomas and some of those other islands. They're very remote, and underage teenage girls are readily available. So I mentioned Mr. Obama, who is, I guess he's out of work now, isn't he? Former President Obama. I know where you live. You're still in Washington, D.C. because you want your daughter to go to school there. That's fine. And the other one is not ready for Harvard yet, I guess. And Mr. and Mrs. Bill Clinton, I know where you live in Chappaqua. And Jeff Epstein, I know where you live in Manhattan. John and Teresa Hines. Teresa Hines was married to former Senator John Hines, who was killed in a plane or helicopter crash, and she inherited the Heinz ketchup fortune. And of course, there's George Soros, who funds things like Black Lives Matters, and the trouble at Berkeley, and the trouble in St. Louis, Ferguson, and the trouble in Baltimore, Maryland. George Soros, he finances all that. I know where you live, George, and it's not Budapest, Hungary, where you come from. I've been to Budapest, and they're glad that those people over there are glad you left, because you put the pest in Budapest. Let us live in peace. I got something else here. It's time to get rid of the new American way. Now this applies to southeastern Ohio and its integrated services, which is just a big scheme for some liberal left-wing Democrats to get rich. They're not helping people out. They're enabling people. That's what they do. You're enablers. Down there on East State Street, you're enablers. I know where you are. Let's just take this. Listen to me for a second. For a guy and his girlfriend with 2 kids, all they have to do is follow these proven steps. First of all, don't ever marry her. Always use your mother's address to get your mail. Buy a house. You buy a house, and the girlfriend who has 2 kids will get Section 8 assistance, and they'll pay $900 a month for a 3-bedroom home. And then the girl signs up for Obamacare, and that way the guy doesn't have to pay for her family insurance. And then the girlfriend gets to go to college for free, being a single mother. And then the girlfriend gets $600 a month in food stamps. And then the girlfriend gets a free cell phone, those Obama phones. Guy moves into the house, of course, he's already there, but he continues to use his mother's address for mail. Then the girlfriend claims 1 kid, and the guy claims the other kid. Each files separate tax returns. Now both get to claim head of the household at $1,800 of tax credit. Girlfriend gets $1,800 a month disability for being crazy or having a bad back, etc., and never has to work again. The plan is perfectly legal and is being executed now by millions of people, especially here in southeastern Ohio, a county that tends to vote Democrat, and you wonder why. A married couple with a stay-at-home mom yields $0. An unmarried couple with a stay-at-home mom who knows how to play the game nets $21,600 disability, $10,800 free housing, $6,000 free Obamacare, $6,000 free food stamps, $4,800 free utilities, $6,000 Pell Grant for college education, $8,800 tax benefit for being a single mom, all of which equals $75,000 a year in benefits. Any wonder why the United States is $21 trillion in debt and half of the population is sitting around letting the other half pay their way? It is time the entire congressional stable in Washington, D.C. is completely flushed out, As a reminder, don't forget our congressional House and Senate representatives have guaranteed themselves lifetime retirement benefits. Term limits are desperately needed, disgusting to say the least. There are more people riding in the wagon than are pulling the wagon. Think about it. And really think hard about it. Now, the big surprise in Athens County was that Donald John Trump won the presidency. Let me tell you why he won it. A woman involved in a protest in New York City said she was involved because Donald Trump does not represent her beliefs. Well, that is why America holds elections. I kind of wondered if that woman wasn't Hillary Rodham Clinton. Americans spoke loud and clear during the 2016 presidential election because people are fed up with the direction in which our country is headed. Consider. The people are tired of the murder of unborn children. They voted. The American people are tired of people who don't work being rewarded while working people are being punished. We voted. The American people are tired of letting activist judges make new laws without the approval of we, the people. We voted. The American people are tired of foreigners being treated like first-class citizens while veterans' needs are put on the back burner. We voted. The American people are tired of our enemies disrespecting us. We voted. The American people are tired of policemen being disrespected. We voted. The American people are tired of our borders not being protected. We voted. The American people are tired of our jobs being sent overseas. We voted. The American people are tired of those who want to kick God out of America. We voted. The American people are tired of our strong ally in the Middle East, Israel, being disrespected by our so-called elected representatives. We voted. For the past 8 years, Americans have been upset, but we did not run wild in the streets. We voted. And I got a message to you for here, too. You want to know how to stop crybaby protesters like the ones you had up at Baker Center? You play the national anthem. Those crybabies who are upset about how we voted will simply sit down. Thank you very much. My name is Stephen Phillips, and thanks for watching.
Did you see? The building fell. Yes, he was in it. He called me from the lobby.
No! That's not supposed to happen. What is it?
And we're back now with 9/11 widow and activist Alice Rydell. So you want something more?
Yes.
What?
Justice. They're hiding something. Something is not right.
I saw you on TV.
Well, what did you think?
You're a traitor. And your whore daughter, too.
Who are you?
Studying up.
Gulf of Tonkin incident. Know it?
Didn't happen.
Why did you talk to me? So what's your name?
Josh.
Connie. Mom?
See? I told you. I'm really sorry about Rob.
You have to find the answers. You already know the answers.
But if I already know them, why can't I find them?
We've been watching out for you and your daughter. You're both targeted.
Why?
They don't like widows with big mouths. You've got more power than you know.
Alice, how well did you know your husband?
Not well enough.
Now you're gonna tell me you're not my father?
I'm just not exactly who you think I am.
We'll probably never figure it out.
Mom. Dad was always busy during election time, right? He was part of it. Then there's Josh.
Whoa. You don't need that.
You're violating my space.
Studs, Josh. There is a broad over here. It should make the agency happy. Maybe get you promoted.
Frigate.
Who are you?
An American.
I never figured the bitch would be this stupid. Not with a dossier.
Housewife for 30 years, bitch will be easy.
I have never been easy.
We're living in an official dictatorship. She's changed, but that's definitely her.
You didn't tell me she looked good.
The same people who did Kennedy dropped the towers.
So you got it all figured.
Impossible to know everything.
But the towers, the fires, the jet fuel.
The fires, they were almost out. They didn't fall, they exploded. The firemen thought so. People were standing in the holes. Total demolition job.
You know that.
I got sick of watching it on TV.
Or maybe you know too much.
Hey, I'm not the only one.
Who else?
See, this is the kind of thing that scares me about your sick ass.
Hi, remember me?
My new neighbor?
Mm-hmm. Can I come in? So, what you been up to?
Nothing much.
Dating anyone?
Why?
Just wondered.
Nice legs.
Doesn't your daughter have a boyfriend?
They broke up.
Hi, I'm Medea.
Hi. Some pervert tried to take my picture.
You gotta watch those guys. Yummy.
I'm starting to put shit together. There was a book, the librarian said, on file, but it was removed.
It'll be us who's removed Nick.
Who was that woman?
That's what I wonder. No longer in service.
Who are you calling?
A friend I never should have lost touch with.
Hold down the fort, will ya? Thirsty?
Hey, where you been?
Right around?
No.
I thought he hung out here.
You stopped coming in, so you stopped coming around. Try to base.
I thought it was you.
Come on.
This joint is just your style. And it's Alice.
Phil, nowadays.
A lot of blood under the bridge since the days of rage.
We should have taken those assholes out when we had the chance. We've been watching out for you and your daughter. You're both targeted.
Why?
Blowback. They don't like widows with big mouths. You've got more power than you know.
Except we...
It's complicated. I'm not even sure that Red,
You knew Red before?
I put him on to you. I'm still in love with you.
You only like young women. So where's he now?
Hotter than green chilies. He's in hiding.
They want him?
We're way past ridiculed and ignored. Now it's for real. Shows we're making progress.
Toward?
You need to ask. Hey, it's happening. We're back. The 60s all over again. Only worse.
Take me to him.
Best dogs in town, man.
We aim to keep it that way.
Right around?
Kidding? Chiropractor lives here.
He's around here somewhere. Red! Red?
So I'm not a fanatic?
Turns out I knew this fool from the old days.
We're glad you remembered. Where's my dog?
Yeah, so? Tell me next time.
We take care of our own. Try to.
Phil said,
I wanted to see you for the longest time.
I had to be sure.
Alice, how well did you know your husband?
Not well enough. But he gave me a life, so...
The reason is, Phil here got to know your neighbor pretty well.
If you know what I mean.
Medea?
I found out a few things about her. See, your hubby had a thing going with her at the same time as me, but for different reasons. I needed to find out whose side she was on. Turned out it wasn't ours. The agency assigned her to watch you.
You mean Rob and Medea?
Years ago.
I suppose I shouldn't be mad, since he's...
That's why you need this. Go on,
But
take it. I hear you used to be good with these.
I hate guns, even back when we had no choice.
And now we do? Don't tell anybody I gave it to you. Okay?
Alice, never.
It's probably a good thing your daughter broke up with... What's his name?
Josh.
Yeah. Back when I worked both sides, his old man and I hung around some not good people. He knows.
Right around?
You kidding? Guy practically lives here.
Just all studs. He had that spooky look, like he's into someone.
Like me?
It crossed my mind.
You better go.
Just all studs. He had that spooky look, like he's into someone.
Like me?
It crossed my mind.
You better go.
Still got it if you want it.
Got anything to drink?
Finally put it all together. Take a look at that. All the false flags, the black ops, the cover-ups. They don't care how many they have to sacrifice for their brave new world order.
You get a bathroom. Not for customers.
Man, I really gotta go.
Sorry. Hey! Fuck! Hey man, don't make me get rough. I hate violence.
So do I.
gave mine to Alice.
Hello, the following movie trailer and clips from the movie All Fall Down were written and produced and directed by Dane McCarthy of Athens, Ohio, and White Light Features, an Athens-based filmmaker. Special thanks to Maria Antle of San Diego, California, for allowing me to appear in this film. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned to Phillips 7.0.